Oh, that was stupid. All right, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another analysis, I guess, type of video. I thought since we just did the MVPs who happened to be two quarterbacks, I thought it'd be fun to hit the opposite side of the spectrum. Yeah, this is gonna be a fun one, ladies and gentlemen. In this video, we're gonna analyze who the worst quarterback was in the NFL for the 2025 season. Now, there were some pretty fucking ass quarterbacks this year, I won't lie. To kind of simmer it down, I kind of put some parameters for who did not count. So one obvious one I thought I should put were rookies. I just, I don't think it's fair to do a rookie. Little caveat to that. With that rookie list, I also put JJ McCarthy on there. Don't get me wrong. If JJ McCarthy, if I know technically this is his second year, but he didn't play at all last year due to injury, I gave like an NBA rookie season type of feel. But don't get it twisted. Like if I didn't count that, he'd 100% be on this list right now. So kind of going on like TikTok and online, kind of the graphs for who the two worst quarterbacks were, it kind of came down to two guys. The obvious one is Geno Smith. It's literally blame Geno Smith or blame Israel. And then also was Justin Fields. Justin Fields has always been ass since I can remember, so I thought that was an easy one. But let's find out who the worst quarterback was. Okay, so same type of vibe, kind of same way how we did it last time. I have a set amount of categories. We're gonna go down and each player will get a point, and whoever has the most points at the end will be the worst. So you don't want any points for this scenario. So here pulled up, I have Justin Fields and Geno Smith ESPN stat line. Kind of same as usual. We'll kind of use that as our baseline. But kind of a big sort of issue with this one was just the amount of games played. Geno, I don't know if he played the whole year, but he pretty much played at least a majority of the year, where Fields only played 9 games.
Know your fucking place, trash.
Fields was technically hurt, but he was full on bench. Let's just be honest about that. So because I felt it wasn't fair to just go through the stat line, because obviously in some ways Geno's going to be better or worse just because of the game difference. So I kind of did something different with this. So in terms of stats, I looked at individuality things. A big one being for right here, Geno Smith. You see right here, this is 17 interceptions. What's very special about this 17 is that was the most in the league. So Geno Smith threw the most interceptions in the NFL this year. So obviously that is a point to Geno just because of that. Fields, I'm really hesitant on giving him a point just for these touchdowns. 7 touchdowns in 9 games. Yes, there were rookies that did better, but Fields is on his 5th year, I believe. Yeah. He's in his 5th year and he's doing that. That's pretty ass. I think I'm going to give him the pass just because the one interception kind of bounces that out. So just looking at the stats straight away, we do have Geno Smith is in the lead with 1 point. I mean, when you throw the most interceptions, that's not a good thing usually. Kind of looking at their schedules, we're going to kind of do games where they had either the same amount or more interceptions and touchdowns. Spoiler alert, Geno's going to get the point for this one as well. Out of the season Geno played so far, he had 6 games where he either threw the same amount of interceptions to touchdowns or he threw more interceptions than touchdowns. Games like New England, even though they won 1-1, 0-3 against the Chargers, 2-3 against the Bears, 0-2 against the Colts, 1-1 Tennessee. You get the point. Not great. Fields, as shitty as Fields was, he didn't throw the ball over. So his 1 interception came against the Browns where it was a 1-on-1 game. So I guess it would count. And I guess in his defense, it was against a top 10 defense. But I mean, if you look, especially right here, Geno had 448 attempts where Fields only had 204. So Geno nearly threw about 250 more passes than Fields. That, I guess that could play into it a little bit. We'll kind of get into Fields a little bit later, but unfortunately, I do have to give the point to Geno Smith again. He had some good games too, but I mean, 6 games where he didn't, I guess, elevate the team. This next category kind of did is games where they threw at least 150 passing yards. I debated like 200 or maybe 250, 100, but I just went with 150. That's usually like the kind of baseline you could do for an alternate bet on like FanDuel. So I kind of just stuck with that. As we see with Geno, he had 11 games where he got at least over 150 yards. So a majority of his games. This week 3 span right here too, he did pretty solid. A little bit of a shitter right here, but I mean, 362 week 1, and then 289 week 3. Now, Fields only had 4 games where he got at least 150 yards. Not only that, he had some fucking shitters where he literally did not do anything, at least as a passer. I look at like right here against the Bills, 3 for 11 for 27 yards. Against the Broncos, 9 for 17 for 45 yards. The Panthers, 6 for 12 for 46 yards. And we'll talk about the rushing for Fields in a little bit, but I mean, at the end of the day, he's a quarterback. And if your quarterback is throwing 11 passes and only completing 3 of those, that's pretty bad. So yeah, this is Fields finally gets on the board with this one. Quick update, the score is now 2-1. Gino's still in the lead. So if you remember this list, for the MVPs, we did how they played against top 10 defenses. We're now going to do how they did against the bottom 10 defenses. So looking at Geno Smith, he played against 4 teams that were in the bottom 10 for defense. Those teams being the Commanders, the Bears, actually, which I'm shocked. I think they just got a lot of turnovers. The Colts and the Giants. In those 4 games, Geno Smith had 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and he threw for 810 yards. Justin Fields, as well, played against 4 bottom 10 defenses this year. The Dolphins, the Cowboys, the Bengals, and the Steelers actually in week 1. Just a side note, it was very crazy to see the Cowboys and the Steelers in the bottom 10 for defense. Now, this was funny when I did this. In these 4 games against bottom 10 defenses, Justin Fields had 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 971 yards. So based on that statistic alone, Geno Smith would get the point. He did worse. I'm also giving Fields a point as well. And the reason I'm giving him a point is if you look at this season as a whole, when he played the bottom 10 teams, so those 4 teams, he had 218, 226, 283, 244, and he didn't hit 200 for any of the games. In fact, for the other teams, he didn't even hit 115 yards. So Justin Fields quite literally only had good games against the worst defenses in the league, and even with that, he only won 1 of them against the Bengals. So because of that reason, I'm going to give Justin Fields a point as well. Looking at how they did wins-wise against these bottom teams, Geno Smith didn't beat a single team in the bottom 10 defense. The Titans just barely got out of there, whereas Fields at least beat the Bengals. I think I am going to give a point to that just because, I mean, the Raiders got killed against these bottom teams. I mean, the Commanders were statistically, as we see right here, according to this, the worst total defense. The Cowboys were the 3rd to worst. Bears were 4th, Giants were 5th. You get the point. Geno Smith, the Raiders couldn't do shit against these terrible defenses. So that's the point to Geno. Statistically, that's kind of all I could really do. One thing that I need to mention is gotta be the rushing when it comes to Justin Fields. Now, both quarterbacks are very doable and can rush. We've seen it. Geno Smith did not rush, where Justin Fields quite literally only rushed, it seems like at times. So, I mean, I guess I can give the point to Fields that maybe, you know, he was better in the sense of his rushing. But I mean, we look at for example, this Dolphins game right here, 7 carries for 81 yards and a touchdown. That's pretty damn good. And this score is not at all accurate for what the game was like. I remember very vividly the Jets got pretty fucked up that game. So a lot of these rushing can, honestly, I'm just going to put up to just stat padding. Against the Patriots, you know, they still lost by 13 and he had 11 rushes, 67 yards. For the sake of this, I'm just not going to count the rushing for Fields, or most importantly, counted against Geno. So that's kind of it for the stats. Again, it's hard to do the stats just because of how many less games Fields played, but there's still some more categories to go with these 2 guys. So with Geno, we gave him a point for throwing the most interceptions. For Fields, he got benched. Yes, he technically was put on IR. No, he was full on benched. So Fields is getting a point for being benched. Didn't even finish the season. Going into the season, the cool thing was these are both brand new quarterbacks in brand new places. And I'm sure we all remember Geno Smith had a ton of hype going to the Raiders. Obviously, in hindsight, it's a bit crazy. We thought that, but there was a lot of hype with the Raiders this past season with Geno and Pete Carroll, and then, you know, knowing they were getting Ashton Genty, they thought they could be a tough team. They were not. They were obviously the worst team, and Geno Smith went from, you know, he was pretty solid in Seattle to the worst in the league. And to make things fucking worse, the Seahawks got a new quarterback, and they just won the Super Bowl. So Geno was full on the issue, I guess, in that sense. So I'm going to give Geno a point for that as well. One thing about Fields, where I'm going to give him a point, is that Fields has been pretty much tossed around these past few years. This is going to be his 3rd different team in 3 years, I believe. As we see, 2023 was still on the Bears. Then 2024 went to the Steelers, got benched again, and then in 2025 went to the Jets and got benched for a third time. So he's been benched on twice for 2 different teams. Yeah, I think Fields is going to deserve a point for that. Geno, yeah, obviously we can go through his kind of career, but he had that bit of that resurgence in Seattle. And it felt more like the Seahawks just wanted to try, or they felt that they hit the ceiling. It wasn't necessarily that Geno was so bad. So I can't really fault the guy for that, but as just as it is, Justin Fields was so assed. He got thrown around. And I mean, to get benched by 2 different teams in, in only 2 years is pretty sad. So now obviously both these guys will not be starters in the NFL, but to see who's going to be on a team next year is a tough one. Now both guys are still contractually with their teams. They both signed 2-year deals, so 2027 would be the first year they both hit free agency. But if we look at the numbers, kind of the contract, I think Fields is going to be the one that gets cut or released or traded, and I think the Jets are going to take that cut. I think Geno is whatever backup, at least. I don't, it's either him or Aiden O'Connell. Both are pretty mediocre, or both are pretty ass, actually. So I figure, why not Geno? Somehow Justin Fields is going to end up on a different team. He always fucking does. I guess I'll give a point to Fields. I mean, this is going to be his 3rd different team in 3 years, and this is more so hey, you're fucking terrible, please get off our team type of situation. So just like that, our 2 quarterbacks are tied. They both have 5 points, and there's one more category to determine who the worst quarterback was in the NFL. Now, if you were chronically online or kind of part of the meme NFL community, there were 2 players that were quite literally in every single meme. There was the lovely JJ McCarthy 9, and like I said earlier in the video, it was blame Geno Smith or blame Israel. I seriously cannot remember or even recall a player that was this trashed on more than Geno Smith. Even the fucking Raiders fans were trashing on the dude. Yeah, this was a rough year for Geno Smith to be online. So, I mean, because of that, it's like, when you think of the worst player, the first player you can think of is Geno Smith. So, Geno Smith takes our last point, and that means, ladies and gentlemen, that Geno Smith wins 6-5. Thus making him the worst quarterback of the 2025-26 NFL season. It was close, not gonna lie. Fields definitely put Geno up for a run for his money. I think the big thing that kind of saved Fields in the end of it was that he got benched. I mean, if Fields played a whole year and there were more games of him getting less than 100 yards, I'm fully certain Fields would be on this list, or he would be the winner. But that's gonna do it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you agree that Geno Smith was the worst quarterback for this season. And if not, who do you think was worse? Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.